Can you cut brainstorming from 2 hours to 5 minutes and auto-magically make scroll-stopping ads? Hello and welcome to Growth Mastermind, the podcast for growth marketers. My name is John Koetsier. Yeah, we're talking about AI. Of course, everybody's talking about it. Everybody's using it. Question is, however, have you systematized it? Do you have an AI workflow, or are you just doing one-offs in ChatGPT or Claude or some other system that's designed for marketing and creative and ads? Today, we're chatting with someone who has done that, and he's getting insane results. He's the CEO of Admiral Media, and his name is Andre Kempe. Welcome, Andre. How are you doing?
Thank you very much, John. Nice to be here. Thanks for having me for this particular topic, which is super exciting. Everyone talks about AI, so let's use that opportunity.
I'm looking forward to it. Is this your first time on Growth Masterminds? I know we've chatted before.
No,
I think it
it's
might have been
years ago, but I've been a guest, but it's long ago.
I should check those things, shouldn't I? Wow. No.
I can't remember the topic. Maybe it was some Facebook ad stuff, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I dimly recall that. Okay, let's start at the beginning. I mean, like all of us started playing with AI at some point, right? ChatGPT burst onto the scene, and we started hearing stuff, and we started doing some tests and stuff. When did you start playing? What was your experience?
Well, like everyone, I think I was absolutely mainstream on this topic. Basically joined using or started using it when it was going public everywhere. Everyone was suddenly talking about it. So probably the trend arrived pretty late on my end, to be honest. And here I also started it very slowly. Didn't really dive into it from the very beginning. Used it test-wise here and there, was showing it to my parents, like, look what's possible now. But then it basically stopped. Like my brain didn't create ideas around it, like to what extent could I use it actually?
Yeah.
Slow think idea.
Yeah, exactly. So when did you start systematizing it? I mean, you shared recently on LinkedIn, a couple other places, a cool system. We're going to get into it, what it looks like, how you're working it, what you're getting out of it, all that stuff. Maybe even, are there verticals it works for, or types of ads it works for, and others it doesn't? We'll talk about all that stuff. But when did you start saying, hey, you know what? This isn't just a toy. This isn't just something that I'm going to play with here and there and get a little bit of assistance here and 10% up there and a 15% increase in productivity there. I'm going to make a system, and we're going to do this scientifically.
I wouldn't call it scientifically on our end yet. I mean, we are getting more and more sophisticated, but it's far away from science, I would say. Nevertheless, I think we started with some simple copy ideas. Hey, can you craft me some ideas for this app for Facebook ads kind of things, right? So very, very basic stuff on GPT. And then at some point, when all the visual tools got released, Midjourney, whatsoever, we started crafting the first background images or the first avatars. We even created a small, funny music video. So end-to-end, basically, to test the end-to-end production, like with me as a star in that music video as a hip hop celebrity with all the gold chains and fur hat and whatever, right? So, but this was really from, hey, give me an idea for a music video, give me the music, give me the voiceover, give me the visuals, and we really wanted to have an end-to-end production of a video that is longer than 2 seconds, right? So This is probably something where we plugged in all the different tools that were available at that time, and just try to understand how we put this together. How much time do we need to actually produce one thing? What happens when you say, hey, please, this was not the correct output, change it, rephrased the prompt. Does this still win us time? Or is it actually putting the designer in a position where he just waits until it's rendered again, right? So, and he can't do anything else with a computer, for example. These are things that we are really just testing. And then systematizing, you're referring to a post that I did lately. This was basically a how-to video that I showed, where I showed how we are using Make, a certain tool where you can it's like an if then else tool, basically, where you can combine all the different online cloud functions and AI tools, including GPT. Here I basically showed a workflow within this Make studio where we are implementing a Google Doc where is a script for a certain ad, or a briefing for an ad, or briefing from a product, like, hey, this is my target demographic, this is my product, this is my target these are the topics I want to cover in an ad. And then we plug in GPT and it automatically pulls everything from the sheet, pulls competitor ads into the flow, and then creates completely new ads with various iterations around different topics. Like, for example, one work stream that was running was give me background image of a nightclub. Another one was give me background image of a beach, and so on and so on. So you could have multiple iterations and produced in one click, basically, once you have created that flow. And the idea here was that at the very beginning of the flow, like this basic script can be exchanged by just one quick upload, right? And then you just have an automatic run every day. And every day it creates hundreds of different variations of ads based on one document.
Wow.
Right? So this was the whole idea. And this is systematizing pretty much what's possible with AI nowadays, because you can not only put in text documents or something, but you could also say, hey, here's a CSV file with the last 7 days performance data from Facebook combined with this Google Doc. And then the AI really hits and creates amazing iterations of ads, for example. So this is
amazing.
Systematic use of AI, basically, through helpful tools like Make. This was a start.
Interesting. So Make is the glue that's connecting all the different tools there.
It's one of them. Yes, exactly. There's more advanced tools even. We are now playing with another one that's called N8N, or I don't know, maybe there's a different way to pronounce it, but I call it N8N because it's really the letter and the number 8.
Yes.
And here you can do a lot more like coding as well, right? So it's not just simple prompting and if then else click journeys, let's say, but you can go much deeper into the individual production flows, let's say.
Super cool. So whether you're using Make or this new tool, what other tools are you connecting? What other tools are you using to generate, whether it's text or images?
Well, this is hard to say because it basically changes, or not only changes every month. One we kick out, then we use another one because it's better or whatever. But also there are so many new tools coming out every day. Just today I was forwarding another new tool I didn't see before to our creative lead to play around with that one. So this is really a very dynamic situation at the moment because AI is still at the very beginning, and there's so many startups out there that create new things around AI that you can plug in. But to name a few, obviously it's Midjourney, obviously it's GPT, sometimes it's Claude for various things. Then there's, I forgot the names, something with K. I don't have it. I would need to go through my subscription list.
No worries.
Many.
Oh, cool. There are tons there. It's always a challenge to make things repeatable, right? Like I built an agent on ChatGPT for making certain type of images. I trained it on a set of training images, and I find that 33% of the time, 40% of the time, it ignores the ratios, dimensions of those images and gives me a square when I want a landscape image or something like that. Do you have similar issues, or have you found workarounds for that? Or maybe Midjourney doesn't have that issue?
So in this Loom video that I made about Make, for example, we don't have this issue. So there's also a very big difference if you're using the dashboard interfaces of all the tools or you have API access.
Right.
Premium access. So the APIs enable so much more very often that you usually don't come across these type of issues.
That makes sense. I guess if you're using the API version, you can just specify each time dimensions that you want, and then you don't have that issue ever.
Exactly. And with tools like N8N, where it goes really much deeper into the coding of the workflows and stuff, you can define so many more things.
Cool.
Let's say when you're looking at code that you could insert into Veo, for example, Veo from Google, right? The video production, it's limited to 8 seconds per video. But when you prompt something and tell something, you get a certain output, but you run across exactly similar issues, what you just described with different formats or whatever. But if you're using code and APIs, then you can pretty clearly define, for example, what is the lighting, what is the angle of the camera, where are the shadows coming from, and these kind of things, right? So with code, you can go much deeper.
Yeah, amazing. What does the creative role look like? So I want to get into what you're achieving with this, what you're getting out of it, what the output is in terms of the creative, and what the output is in terms of, or the results are in terms of driving engagement, driving conversions, driving installs. Before we jump into that, what's this look like for you? You said you sent over a new tool to a person who leads your creative department. What does that, how is this changing their role? What's it doing to them?
Good one. We are still trying to find out, to be honest. So we are an agency. Admiral Media is a
Yeah.
performance marketing agency. We have various clients. I would say 80% of our clients are apps, but they are all performance-oriented clients. Nevertheless,
Mhm.
they still have, there's the owners of the companies are humans. And when they look at an AI ad, they have a certain perception of that. And we recognize a trend across all our clients that they were very interested in AI at the very beginning, but the interest is not only getting a little bit, let's say, reduced, but we even get more and more pushbacks from clients.
Huh.
So there is, when you ask me about the role of the creative lead, it's extremely unclear to me where this is going, because more and more clients are saying, let's go back to traditional UGC. Let's go back to traditional motion. We don't like the AI avatars, these kind of things. I'm curious to, honestly, to the audience, question, do you have a similar experience or not? I'm very, very interested in that, because we see that growing quite a bit.
That is super interesting. I just saw recently actually somebody who was posting and saying, we did like something that was really incredible and then we did something that was really awful, like amateur hour type thing. And this was not using AI whatsoever, but it was obviously human created, and the human created stuff that looked, he thought, awful did actually significantly better, the ugly creative type of thing,
Of course.
right? And so the UGC kind of thing kind of fits into that in some scenarios. Of course, that's always interesting too. That's another rabbit hole to go into. UGC that is obviously fake, that is obviously not you generated, right? It's generated by a company, but that's really interesting. So, I mean, if you get that kind of pushback, then you can go old school and make creative as you used to, or you can up your game with AI and get it to the level where it's indistinguishable. Correct?
Well, I think this is not to be decided by the person using the AI, but the AI itself, right? At the moment, it's still very easy to detect what's AI,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're in the non-English speaking areas. Then the voiceovers are really, really bad. As a native German, for example, when I see German voiceovers, oh my God. So terrible. So it's still way too robotic.
Yeah.
And this is also then one of the reasons why then certain clients say, guys, this is not going to work. We will not put this on
It,
advertising, right?
it's interesting because you said two things, right? You said, hey, our clients are all performance focused. And you said they're like, don't give me the AI stuff, give me the old stuff. Are those in conflict? Or like, is the AI stuff not performing better?
So far, we have very mixed results, to be honest. So it feels like you have to put at least the same effort into AI ads as you had to do with UGC productions. The effort is just a different one at the moment, meaning when you were trying to mass produce classic UGCs, then you had to do a lot of research, a lot of reach out, a lot of negotiation, follow ups, contracting, these kind of things. Whereas with AIGC or with AI ads, you have to do a lot of this prompting iterations, a lot of input changes.
Yeah.
Even though we are using this systematic tooling, let's say, the output is not always that what you expected. And
Yes.
you go back and say, no, because it still makes mistakes, right? It could be
Yes.
that you're saying, create a car, for example, and put a family behind it and blue sky, whatever. But then the car has no doors for whatever reason, right? So you go back and
Yes.
you make a car with doors. Right? So it's as stupid as that. And this takes time, like especially when you're mass producing, right?
So many things to unpack in there, right? I mean, if we talk the role of the creative person as a creative person now, kind of an editor, a chooser, a selector of what works, what passes the bar, right? And can you get enough volume out of the AI generated stuff that you get enough good stuff that it's still worthwhile to do? We're going to get into all those results and stuff like that in just a moment as well. Maybe right now, actually, are you getting Oh, actually, before I want to go there, is it certain people from certain geos or countries who are pushing back? Is it non-English speaking countries?
No,
Is
no.
it, or is it across the board?
Is across the board. Is across the board. I think it's
Wow.
just the perception. Like you get flooded with all these AI ads for some time, but
Yep.
honestly, on my feed, it's also getting less. It feels like it's normal ads more and more again.
Huh.
But this just on my own Instagram feed. But I think it's just that CEOs, CMOs see these ads and think, oh no, I've seen this 100 times. It's pretty much the same kind of talking head avatar thing. So be more innovative, be more creative, whatever is then
Yeah. Yeah.
probably the thing that's going on in their head. And then on the other hand, they just realize it's not natural, it's not organic, right? And we always want to impress customers in some way. Either
Sure.
it's an ugly creative, but this ugliness makes it somehow impressive and memorable and engage worthy, let's say.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's just this polished, very formal talking head ad, what value does it add to your social media experience, let's say, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't create a fun-stopping moment. Let's put it this way.
You said the word organic just recently, and it struck a chord there because I'm like, wow, this interview has gone a different way than I thought. Because your LinkedIn post, I was thinking, oh wow, there's some cool results there, and I'm sure we'll get to that, and I'm sure there are some great results as well. And I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be about how to use AI and to get great results. But to hear you speak over the last 5 or 7 minutes, it's like, well, I don't
So
know. You're very
well,
German,
honestly,
not overselling.
honestly, let's say it gives you the opportunity to fill your campaigns with stuff, right? So when you spend a lot and you need to have a high demand on creatives, you can fill the creatives and fight
Yes.
fatigue with stuff.
Yes.
Does it outperform what you've had before in the campaign? I would say in 95% of the cases, no.
Wow.
But it fills the day of a performance marketer with uploading new creatives, with pausing old ads. It fills the day with analyzing. It makes the designers happy because they were able to deliver something, right? So everyone's happy in that workflow environment. But the one person that's actually financing all this very often doesn't see the return, but also has this
Wow.
perception, oh, we did something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So, and oh, we did something is very often a justification for this.
Can I? So this has gone a totally different direction than I assumed. That's a great thing. This is organic. This is real. This is. Hey, we're being real about it. Here's something super interesting that reminds me of is that I've seen people checkbox items, right? You know, they needed to do a thing, or there was an interesting area to check out, and then you got something from them, and it was obviously from ChatGPT or from some other LLM, and it was like 10 pages of argumentation or report or whatever, but was it worthwhile?
Yeah,
Was it good? And quite often,
to give you another example, I mean, agency life is not only uploading ads on Facebook, right? Agency life is also, I have to recruit people, I have to interview people, I have to manage people, I have to win clients, I have to produce pitches, whatever. Everywhere, somehow AI is involved.
yeah,
And we use it, like everyone probably, to a vast amount on those tasks. But I see myself producing output, interview questions that I could ask for a certain role. I get the output, I go through the output, and I think like, no, naturally I wouldn't structure the interview this way. So I don't know. Somehow I feel like I need to throw this away and just do what I always did, because somehow I
huh,
get to this point that I run a company with 20 people, right? It works apparently. Maybe I should just keep doing this and forget about this very formal, very standardized AI stuff. Or just before I jumped into this call, into our call here, I was reviewing email marketing copy, and the person that was responsible for the task said, yeah, I use a combination of my own thoughts, GPT-5 think, and something else. I'm reading this. This is not going to sell anything. Like, sorry. Nobody's going to open the email. Nobody's going to click anything. Like, go back to the drawing board, write it fucking yourself.
I believe you. I believe you. And I've seen that because I write myself, obviously. there's a spark. There's a je ne sais quoi. There's a something human that is interesting and innovative that the best people can do that you don't see from AI. And there's also a quirkiness. There's an oddness sometimes. There's like a personality
Yeah.
to whether it's art, whether it's writing, whatever it is that I think people value when they see. I will say this. I think that the one thing that I've seen AI do is solve the blank sheet problem. Some people they've got a
Oh
blank
yeah.
sheet in front of them, and what do I do? And they can't start. So then they get a starting point. So that's a good thing. And I've
Absolutely.
also seen other people that I know would take hours to produce a written document that they really kind of need to do. They're able to do that quicker, in some cases better than they would otherwise. So I see some value and benefit there. But let's go to the performance. I promise that. So you're injecting these AI creative into actual performance campaigns, whether people like it or not. And what kind of results are you getting?
The let's say the results that we are getting are on par with what we've produced before. Certainly there's outperformers here and there, but the majority of winners I still see with traditional UGC.
Huh. Huh. Now, with the pace of innovation with AI, do you think that gap is going to narrow? Do you think that's going to change over time?
I think it will change over time. AI has gotten so incredibly good. I mean, when we all saw the first versions of image outputs and talking
Mm-hmm.
heads and stuff, it was like, oh wow!
Yeah.
And just like 5 years from here, probably this conversation is not real anymore,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
nobody will recognize, right? And
Yeah.
I think this is where it's going. Like,
We'll be like Bill Gates or whoever it was. I know it was the CEO of IBM back in the day. I think there's a worldwide market for 5 computers, right? Or something like that. And look at this. Whoa, how stupid are these people?
yeah, exactly. No, I think, for example, I had also a podcast with Roman from Arcats, Arcats, the AI platform. And he also talked about his experience with clients and how they are using his tool. And some people are getting very creative in how to use those tools, right?
Yes.
And he, for example, mentioned where one person or one creative marketer was creating one head talking, and then a second head responding, right? So and then he basically created an ad with a conversation of these two avatars talking to each other. But
Mm-hmm.
obviously, you can't create this in one go, right? So you need to
Mm-hmm.
have the idea and the plan to actually produce one talk stream of one person, and then the other one that is responding to that, right? So this was a quite clever use of the tool, and the better AI gets, the easier it will be to produce such things. And on the other hand, the more realistic it will be, right? Right now, it's really static. It's very formal. We are looking into it and nothing happens. But I will be able more and more to make something happening and something falls into the
Yes.
stream. And this creates
Yes.
some stopping moments, right? And this is what we
Yeah.
need in advertising to be successful.
I think that's a window into where people win with AI, the story that you just shared.
Hmm.
Because what I've found is that it's an awful lot about the quality of the prompt and your follow-ups and your follow-ups to your follow-ups. And then in my experience, I have a mass of material and insights and facts and analysis of gigabytes of data. And then I can take it and I'll use it and I can craft a story with it. So that's my experience. So I'm integral to that. It's not press play and boom, the AI does everything. It's a really critical function of the artist or the writer or the ad director to be a composer and to create a result. And this is just another tool that does certain things really, really well, but you need to take those outputs and use them well. Does that resonate?
Yes, absolutely. I think until we hit a point where AI can create entire movies and stuff, and it will look super realistic, which will still take time. Until that moment, I believe the biggest success will come from, let's call it bionic AI ads, where you're mixing your human input or let's say UGC content with AI content. I have one ad concept, for example, is where you start with a meme that is very attention grabbing, something funny, right? A fail or whatever, someone is falling from something and hits himself, whatever. And then immediately you use that and switch to some AI content that is like motion design ad and show like, hey, this is the ad talking about this and this topic. If you bring those together, you create a nice experience on social media for the person swiping through 1,000 videos in a minute, right?
Yeah.
Grab the attention, oh, what is that? And then you keep the person on screen and then display what you're actually trying to sell.
I think you just named this episode Bionic Ads. I love it. I love it. Combination of people and machine. Absolutely. Isaac Asimov, who, if you know science fiction, you know Isaac Asimov. If you don't know that, then maybe you watch the movie I, Robot from probably a decade ago or so. He's the author of the original story behind that. He came up with what he called CFE. So that was C for carbon and FE, the atomic symbol for iron. And that was C, carbon-based entities and iron-based entities. And that was a combination of intelligence, artificial, and human. Anyways, very cool stuff. Totally went directions I didn't go. We need to bring it to some kind of conclusion here. What do you see the near future? We've said the far future, we see that, AI is going to be incredible, amazing, wonderful. That far future might be 18 months from now, might be 6 months. I mean, the pace of innovation here is insane. What do you see in the near term in terms of what you're going to do with AI for ad generation?
I think near future, we will exploit as many different tools as we can find just to test it out and find out what we can do with it. I will put resources on that, like people playing around with that. I have already 2 people just testing out different streams, like one for B2B and marketing, our own marketing stuff, and where we automate outreach. We figured out we can actually use that for UGC outreach. So these kind of things. And then the other person really for the visual production, where we try to find out what's possible with playables and AI, what's possible with the mix of human created content and AI content, and so on and so on. So there will be more and more things that we will test. And hopefully there's an avenue that gives us a higher ratio of winners, of winning ads. Right. And I think this is the ultimate goal of every agency or everyone who runs performance marketing. You just want to increase the number of winners, right?
Absolutely. And we know that regardless of how the production process goes, there's a lot of AI and machine learning on the back end, invisible to most people and visible even to marketers in a lot of cases, as the platforms decide what's working, what's not working. And of course, there's a lot of generation of ads that Meta is working on, Google is working on. Mark Zuckerberg said just a couple of months ago that most ads will be totally generated, in a few years. Brave new world. Thank you for taking this time.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.